good morning. My name is Rochelle and welcome to the Minecraft Education Edition Esports Live Series. Last week, we talked about what esports is and a lot of facts about it. We also talk about esports as a game-based learning and how we are using esports as a tool for education. And of course, since it's for education, today we are going to talk about how esports can be or to be embedded in the curriculum and what is its place in education. So what is esports' place in education? In the previous section, we made the case that when esports is viewed through the lens of both digital game-based learning and sports education, it provides a breadth of opportunities for teaching students. While common definitions of esports place great emphasis on playing professional or semi-professional level, reframing the scope for the educational setting to include the game-based learning position esports as a highly desirable addition to a curriculum or extracurriculum offering. Um, in addition, the range of learning benefits associated with DGBL or digital game-based learning, this place of esports grants greater inclusivity to a broad range of students by shifting the focus away from developing professional athletic skills towards offering transferable 21st century learning opportunities to all the students. In figure number 23 showing on the screen, competencies and skills that can be taught by esports program informed by game-based learning and physical education principles. In this figure, it illustrates our conceptual model of the content. Competencies and skills that can be taught as part of an esports program. We begin by identifying esports theoretical foundations as being rooted in both game-based learning and sports or physical education. As being or while framing esports in this way is entirely novel. There has been thorough consideration regarding the extent to which esports might be purely belong within the physical education and sports science domain, in the terms of its place within the school curriculum. However, the researcher suggests that issues around movement behavior in PE or physical education may prevent it from being aligned fully with PE pedagogy. A study conducted in Finland has indicated that there are a great many benefits to including physical training into an esports program. Opportunities for cross-disciplinary program design. In this type of model, where educators designed esports program, drawing pedagogical theory and practice from both digital game-based learning and sports science, there are incredible opportunities for cross-curricular projects and co-teaching. And in fact, the opportunities are much wider than those two key disciplines. The expertise of several teachers with backgrounds in coaching and games, or PE teachers or physical education teachers, group dynamic, PE, psychology, biology, and teachers, of course, or gaming and digital game-based learning, or teachers from multiple disciplines, technical support like ICT, technology, engineering, and health and well-being, like, of course, physical education teachers, biology and psychology teachers, and social workers. It would be invaluable at all design phase of any esports program, though not essential. Number 3 is the frameworks for developing an esports program. From figure 23 that we showed a while ago, it is also possible to identify a range of skills that map directly into 21st century skills, frameworks including inter- and intrapersonal skills, and a suite of higher order cognitive skills elicited in game-based learning, including critical thinking and problem solving, strategical thinking, reasoning and judgment, and adaptive, creative thinking. Uh, what is what is interesting is that the way in which esports offer novel opportunities to um, pair this thinking with the health and well-being competencies. For example, through coaching and an understanding of sports psychology, physical education teachers can support the development of a number of complementary skills such as coaching strategy, coaching player roles, and data analysis. Team spirits and team practice, gameplay, rule and ethics, as well as helping students developing an understanding of the importance of sleep, exercise, and nutrition. In the following sections of chapter 3, we present 5 frameworks that educators may wish to consult. Um, Reference or embed when designing their own esports program. 4 of these appear in figure number 23 as they are foundational components in digital game-based learning. However, the esports literature suggests a 5th component, connected learning, be considered, that some schools will wish to develop a program that has a focus on social and emotional learning, while other may look to use esports as way to attend to their digital strategy and therefore will prefer to work with digital literacy frameworks. 21st century skill. Now, for the 21st century skills, we are actually, of course, what we aim is their way of thinking, their way of working, the tools for working, and the skills for living in the world. Now, there are a variety of organization and frameworks that describe 21st century skills, including the 21st Century Skills Partnership in the United States and the Lisbon Council of the European Union. Naturally, there are some differences in terminology as well as some overlap in the way these skills are presented by different groups. A recent stride forward in this area has been made by the Assessment and Teaching of 21st Century Skill, or ATC 2021S, or that is Assessment and Teaching of 21st Century Skills. Across sectoral consortium, which has worked to align the principle from 11 different 21st century skills frameworks. The Assessment and Teaching of 21st Century Skills researchers concluded that 21st century skills can be grouped into 4 broad categories, which is flashed on the screen. So we have the ways of thinking, ways of working, tools for working, skills for living in the world. So in this figure, or in figure number 24, it illustrates that ways in which 4 categories described as or described by ATC 21S report includes skills across the cognitive, affective, and behavioral domains, such as creative and critical thinking. Personal and social responsibility, and communication and collaboration. In particular, this way of presenting these skills makes reference to the tool that learners need to successfully operate in the 21st century world, including a suite of digital and information literacies. However, many educators state that while they know the skills will be useful to their students, since they are not currently assessed, it's hard to know exactly what purpose the skills have in the future lives of our students, and to what extent educators should be devoting time to teaching them. In this figure, 21st century skills categories according to the Assessment and Teaching 21st Century Skills, or ATC 21S or 21S Consortium. Leveraging 21st century skills through esports. The Institute of the Future 2020 Future Skills Report tackles some of these issues head on, by addressing how the skills might be utilized by students in the workplace of the future. The 21st century skills become a little less abstract. In figure 25, we see the most in-demand skill set of 2020, such as novel and adaptive thinking, and also cognitive load management, depicted in the smaller cities, with innovative disruptors such as the rise of smart system and driving scale demands. Now, here are the keys and the in-demand work skills for 2020. So we have the sense making, social intelligence, novel and adaptive thinking, like what I've just mentioned, transdisciplinary, new media literacy, computational thinking, cognitive leader management, design mindset, cross-curricular competency, and virtual collaboration. Now, the skills identified here in both the 21st century skill frameworks and the future skills reported can be directly mapped onto those reported in the literature as associated with playing commercial video games as part of a digital game-based learning, or esports program. In fact, skills as novel and adaptive thinking, social intelligence, and virtual collaboration have been demonstrated to be the keys or the key skills associated with esports gameplay. Given that game design is included in the number of existing esports program, skills such as design mindset will become increasingly of interest. In addition, design, particularly multimedia design, also feature in aspects of digital literacy's competencies and across a number of roles in esports ecosystem, such as branding, marketing, etc. And therefore, this skill may be much more relevant in the 21st century esports program that it first appears. Let's take a look at a graph or future work skills in 2020, its definition in the esports context. Now, for sense making, the ability to determine the deeper meaning of significance of what is being expressed. So the esports context is sense making demands critical thinking and the ability to make judgment and decision. Research indicates that the cognitive development and decision making are improved using action video games, etc. For social interaction, the ability to connect to the other or to others in a deep and direct way, to sense and stimulate reactions and desired interactions. Its esports context is socially intelligent employees are able to quickly assess the emotions of those around them and adapt their words, tone, and gestures accordingly. Esports are highly social environments with communities of players and spectators for all over the world who interacts with each other via to the medium of social media and entertainment platforms. For novel and adaptive thinking, proficiency at thinking and coming up with solutions and responses via rote or rules. This is situational adaptability, the ability to respond to unique, unexpected circumstances of the moment. This requires creative thinking and rapid decision making. Now, research indicates that cognitive development, decision making, and problem solving can be greatly improved by action, video games, and over relatively short time periods, given consistent practice. For cross-cultural competency, it is the ability to operate in different cultural settings. Now, esports communities are formed from multiplayer teams and international spectators. Globally, connected via the internet, of course. Learning about cultural norms, respect and diversity, and responsibility. For computational thinking, it is the ability to translate vast amounts of data into abstract concept and to understand database reasoning. Research indicates that esports players have to process large amounts of data in game to dictate gameplay, as well as being able to analyze scores, point systems, and other players' strategy to improve their own skills. Making sense of game data can help students to improve statistical analysis and quantitative reasoning skill. And this can help develop strategic decision making capabilities. For new media literacy, it is the ability to critically assess and develop content that uses new media forms and to leverage this media of persuasive communication. Now, its esports context is the next generation of workers will need to become fluent in text and tools such as video, social media, e-publishing, and so on. This or they will also need to be comfortable in creating and presenting their own visual information, whether spectating an international tournament or reading, listening, or watching the media associated with them. Esports provide opportunities to learning about interacting with and creating new forms of media. For transdisciplinary, literacy and literacy in and ability to understand concept across multiple disciplines. The ideal worker of the next decade is T-shaped. They bring deep understanding of at least one field, but have a capacity to converse in the language of a broader range of disciplines. This requires a sense of curiosity and willingness to go on learning far beyond the years of formal education, cultivating curiosity through gameplay, and offering opportunities to participate in the full ecology of esports as it permeates a range of disciplines and industries in innately transdisciplinary. This vital experiences help prepare students for workplace and careers in the 21st century. Now, for design mindset, it is the ability to represent and develop tasks and work process for desired outcomes. Workers of the future will need to become adept of or at recognizing the kind of thinking that different tasks require. Design thinking requires students to emphasize with the user or the person experiencing the problem. Um, Techniques for emphasizing involve skills in social research as well as interpersonal skills such as perspective taking and empathy. And it can be explored as part of the CEL or SEL in esports. The design mindset can be applied to any design challenge within your esports ecology, including website designs, branding and media, and event and competition design, and so on. For cognitive load management, it is the ability to discriminate and filter information for importance and to understand how to maximize cognitive functions using or functioning using a variety of tools and techniques. Much of the DGBL literature discusses cognitive skill and importance of focus, multitasking, and prioritization. Action video games such as those used in esports have been shown to significantly enhance and develop cognitive functions. And last but not the least, the virtual collaboration. It is the ability to work productively drive engagement, and demonstrate presence as a member of a virtual team. Workplaces of the future will need individuals to develop strategies for engaging and motivating a dispersed group. Techniques borrowed from gaming are extremely effective in engaging large virtual communities. These skills can be fostered through building communication and communicators that provides immediate feedback, clear objectives, and stage series of the challenges. Esports need to for collaboration and team play in a virtual environment offers unprecedented opportunities for students to practice the skills in a safe environment. STEM skills. Number one, what's the connection between STEAM and esports? Esports have been shown to have strong links to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics curriculum and career pathways. According to the North American Scholastic Esports Federation, esports have the potential to change the game in how we integrate STEM education with workforce, section, and industries. In some schools, esports programs are taught as part of STEM and Career Technical Education or CTE, as well as in programs such as English and Language and Arts. Number two, how can we leverage STEM learning through esports? Game-based learning activities are believed to be suited to STEM learning because they are well aligned with inquiry-based learning approaches used by science educators and foster the development of hypothesis, experimentation, and discovering consequence of actions. A large number of studies have explored the ways in which video games may contribute to developing scientific literacy and the critical skills required for engaging scientific discourse, reasoning, and inquiry. An evaluation of naturalistic gameplay. In 6 schools, esports club in Orange Country, in color orange, identify 5 key areas for students, talk including science and mathematics, as well as English language, arts, SEL, and relationship. Now, this figure 27 identifies the core areas of STEM discourse. Now, it also shows by far that the greatest area of students observe fell into social and emotional learning category. We explore this further in section 3.5. Number 3, wide access to STEM through esports. Early research indicates that scholastic esports program may improve STEM outcomes for students. In particular, research by UC Irvine has shown that students who participate in esports as opposed to other after-school activities have better STEM participation, career knowledge, and engagement. Additionally, research showed that playing action video games, such as those commonly played in esports, can enhance performance on spatial tasks, as there is a strong connection between spatial cognition and performance in STEM disciplines. Video games that strengthen spatial abilities may enhance student performance in STEM learning. For connected learning is an approach that recognizes that today's students live, socialize, and learn in ways that are quite different from those growing up in the industrial era. Young people operate in highly connected, often international social networks. They have instant access to information and news from around the world, and many of them take part in leisure activities that involve the kind of technologies and online communities that requires interaction with and production of a variety of complex materials. Number 1, how can we leverage connected learning through esports? Now, video games and particular esports tap into students' innate passions and interests and connects them to meaningful learning, not just in school, across home, peer, and community networks. Studies conducted on school esports program concluded that esports is perfectly positioned to support connected learning approaches to teaching and learning, offering a nexus of interest-driven, socially interactive, and digitally mediate content. Now, furthermore, well-designed esports program can transcend the divide between schools, home, and community. In figure number 28, it presents the six design principles of connected and learning, and we illustrate how this can align with your esports program design. First, interest powered. Interest foster the drive to gain knowledge and expertise. Research has repeatedly shown that when the topic is personally interesting and relevant, learners achieve much higher order learning outcome. It is connected learning views, interests, and passions that are developed in social contexts as essential elements. Now, for esports, game-based learning and esports are well associated with intrinsic motivation and interest-driven play, and both are socially mediated. It is important not to assume that all games will interest all students in your class, so providing choice or opportunities for the students to suggest titles that can be tried and tested and voted on will be an important part of ensuring your esports program in interest powered. Second, production centered. Connected learning prizes the learning that comes from actively producing, creating, experimenting, and designing because it promotes skills and the position for lifelong learning and for making meaningful contributions to today's rapidly changing work and social conditions. For esports, the communities that develop around the esport mate game are well known for the production of website, um, forums, mods, let's play, review, and so on, using a variety of media from social media to streaming platform and discussion tools such as Discord. Now, tapping into these authentic esports practice in your program will provide a simple to production-centered learning that reflects real-world youth culture and develops 21st century skill. For peer-supported, connected learning thrives in a socially meaningful and knowledge-rich ecology of ongoing participation, self-expression, and recognition. In their everyday exchanges with peers and friends, young people fluidly contributes, share, and give feedback. Powered with possibilities made available by today's social media, this peer culture can provide learning that's engaging and powerful. For esports, it is widely acknowledged for its global, participated, connected communities. Using your esports program to explore safe, respectful, and ethical online practices with students alongside enabling them to develop SEL or skill in relating to others and understanding different cultures and perspective will promote peer-supported learning practices. Now, for shared purpose, today's social media and web-based communities provide unexpected opportunities for caring adults, teachers, parents, learners, and peers to share interests and contribute to a common purpose. The potential of cross-generation learning and connection unfolds when centered on common goals. For esports, it can simply be dismissed as kid playing video games, or it can be embraced as part of a wider school culture that invites teachers, parents, and others in the community to participate. Now, whether it is in shirt design for the team, raising funds for events, or a family play along session to help parents see the learning potential of esports, It's worth considering how your esports program will help develop shared interest across the wider school community. Academically oriented. Connected learning recognizes the importance of academic success for intellectual growth and as an avenue towards economic and political opportunity. When academic studies and institutions draw from and connect to young people's peer culture, communities and interest-driven pursuits, learners flourish and realize their true potential. Now, for esports, it can be provided as an extracurricular club, but we also know there is an opportunity to connect it to curricular subject such as a career technical education, ELA, media studies, 21st century skill, STEM learning, and so on. Regardless of how you choose to deliver the program, the evidence show us that connecting it to learning content can help students develop a range of skills that will empower them to be successful in a 21st century world. Now, last but not the least, openly networked. Connected learning environment links learning in school, home, and community because learners achieve when best their learnings is reinforced and supported multiple setting. Online platforms can be learning resources, abundant, accessible, and visible across all learning settings. Now, for esports, this principle links well with shared purpose, inviting you to consider the ways in which learning can be supported in the context outside of school. We know that esports is already being played by millions of students outside of schools, so there is potential of education or educators to extend the learning aspect of their programs into the context too. Now, how does your school make learning materials accessible to students when they are at home? Now, how family members encourage to access the resources? Are these tools you can use to encourage this kinds of engagement with your program? Now, for social and emotional learning, here's a wealth of research that support the concept that video games, their environments, and their result communities give young adults the opportunity to practice and perfect social and emotional skills. In an evaluation of schools' esports club in Orange Country, observation of students stuck under naturalistic play condition. Student LED or large unstructured or unstructured by adults, LED research or researchers to conclude that social and emotional learning is by far the greatest educational potential of the esports program. As with 21st century skill, there are a number of definitions of frameworks available for working with students' social and emotional skills. The Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, or CASEL, describe SEL as the process of effectively applying the knowledge, attitude, and skills necessary to recognize and manage emotions. Developing caring and concern for others, making responsible decisions, establishing positive relationship, and handling challenging situations capability. Now, this figure, social and emotional learning frameworks from collaborative to academic, social, and emotional learning, or CASEL. These five broad areas can be generalized into two categories. International skills, it refers to the knowledge, skills, and attitudes directed towards other people, institution, or social structures. And of course, intrapersonal skills. It is the ways of dealing with oneself, including one's thoughts and emotion. Now, these are the awareness, beliefs, and skills directed and applied inwardly. So these are the self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and of course, the responsible decision making. Now, for social and emotional learning, number one, interpersonal skill and esports. Now, one phenomenon associated with esports gaming is that it produces a hotbed of social interaction, providing many opportunities for connecting wide variety of people. Moreover, this highly social aspect occurs throughout the whole esports ecosystem, between players on a team, between teams, and within the international spectator community. Number two, intrapersonal skill and esports. In addition to this explicit SEL competencies, numerous studies cite self-confidence and improvements in self-esteem as major impact for esports player. Now, these benefits relate to competencies such as self-awareness, and signpost possible crossover between SEL and health and well-being within the curriculum. Health, nutrition, and exercise appear in some of the existing high school esports program. But this overlap with self-esteem may provide opportunities for developing practices for mental health and well-being, enabling educators to provide scaffolding or students to develop practices and tools required in the self-management domain of CASTLE frameworks. Number three is esports SEL example activity. A good example of how an educator might introduce some of these ideas in an esports program is through an exploration of what some refers to as the toxic culture of gaming. Since developing empathy, respect for diversity, and perspective taking are the cornerstone of any SEL framework, inviting students to collaboratively develop rules, guidelines, or safe practices for community engagement in their esports forum is a direct and authentic way to explore SEL competencies. Challenging students to consider how it might feel if someone wrote about this for your team, or if someone excluded you from play, for example, is a good starting place for encouraging students to consider the attitudes, beliefs, values, and behaviors of a healthy, inclusive esports community. Now, educators can also refer to the Swedish Esports Code of Conduct as a source of inspiration for students in developing rules for ethical play and participation, or to anykey.org for guidance on developing inclusive and diverse and participate in gaming communities. Now, for digital literacies, beyond all other explicit skills that may be developed as part of an esports program, it is important to remember that a large part of the learning will be taking place within a digital environment, while the remainder will be making some sort of reference to it. Whether the issues is being learned in game, for example, how to improve a particular aspect of gameplay, or how to execute a strategy, or out of the game. Discussion on sportsmanship and values, cyber safety, cyber bullying, etc. There are great opportunities to embed digital literacy learning into your esports program. The global collaborator and digital citizenship perhaps have the most obvious links to esports, which taps into practices of a large, socially diverse, international community. However, all of the benchmark have some useful purpose in an innovative esports program. We explore this further here as part of our approach in leveraging digital literacy via esports. The Institute of Technology Education, or ISTE, digital literacy frameworks are empowered learners, the digital citizenship, global collaborator, knowledge construction, creative communicator, computational thinker, innovative designer. Now, again, for digital literacies, number one, digital literacy and games. As communication has become increasingly shaped by developments in digital and multimedia technologies, society has to accept that literacy can no longer solely be considered a linguistic practice. Educational standards are beginning to consider the ways in which their students engage with digital media as part of their everyday out of school culture, as well as considering the ways in which we define a text. In digital game-based learning, video games are positioned as multimodal texts that combine written and spoken language, images, graphics, and symbols with sounds. Players must engage with this text to decode the meaning of specific signs, symbol, and images. Number two, how can we leverage digital literacy through esports? Now, there appear to be great opportunities for developing esports program that help students practice and refine their skills in a whole constellation of literacy skill. Now, Figure 31 identifies the 7 digital literacy competencies, as I mentioned a while ago, as outlined by ISTE and maps the way in which these can be introduced as part of an esports program. First is empowered learner. Students leverage technology to take an active role in choosing, achieving, and demonstrating competency in their learning goals informed by the learning sciences. In esports opportunity, self-directed learnings and self-efficacy are strongly associated with game-based learning and esports, partly as a consequence of the fail-forward environment or environments created by games that help students to persevere and learn to overcome obstacles to succeed. Now, by developing esports program that empowers learners to make choices, set goals of their own learning, and reflects on the choices that led to success, educators can work towards this capacity. Now, for esports example, many team games provide students with the opportunity to choose a character with particular skills or to choose a role. For example, a captain, an explorer, a protector, a healer, etc. Now, see our Business Bees and Pirate Cove Esports Minecraft Worlds. Providing students with choice over the role will play in the team and enabling them to develop the skills required to be successful in that role, alongside reflecting on the decisions and behavior that led to both success and failure in their role, empowers learners to set targets, practice, and understand their own strength and development needs. Next is the digital citizen. Students recognize the rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of living, learning, and working in an interconnected digital world, and they act and model in ways that are safe and legal and ethical. Now, esports are by their nature highly collaborative, being comprised of diverse community members. Yet, they can be associated with online toxic culture. By modeling respectful, safe, and ethical online participation within esports program, educators can support students in embodying principles of respecting diversity, perspective taking, and empathy required in a connected, collaborative, and learning environment. In general, young people who participated in esports for leisure are spectators, and while they can be part of an active community, their role can be somewhat passive. As part of an esports community at school, students have the opportunity to be in charge. An activity that can greatly develop a digital citizenship mindset involves asking students to develop the rules and ethics for their school team, considering events that they may play at a regional, national, and international scale. Can they investigate their legal rights to broadcast? What are the ethical and legal responsibilities of moderating the coaching, uh, playing, broadcasting, and hosting an esports events? Third, knowledge constructor. Students critically curate a variety of resources using digital tools to construct knowledge, produce creative artifacts, and make meaningful learning experiences for themselves and others. Now, esports is famed for its active communities who created discussion forums, websites, let's play, wikis, and so on to support the construction and sharing expertise. Tapping into the practices of this vibrant community for the purposes of classroom learning will offer students a real world experience of co creating digital knowledge as part of an esports program in a safe educational space. Now, whether constructing website, marketing materials, narratives for games, character studies, or developing guidance and materials such as Let's Play, for other players, there are a wealth of opportunities for students to be active constructors of knowledge and content content in an esports program. Now, esports community use many different places to co-create content. For example, fan websites and forums. An authentic way to begin to build such community is by challenging students to design their own sports website with community forum, or alternatively, exploit software, either a school intranet or software such as Discord. It is to encourage the students to provide help and support to each other via audio and text chat functions. Fourth is the innovative designer. Students are a variety of technologies within a design process to identify and solve problems by creating new, useful, or imaginative solutions. Innovative design relates to the design mindset, refers in figure number 25 and section 3.2. Many existing esports programs provide students with opportunities to use inquiry-based approaches to solving problems, both in games and out of game. The Orange Country ELA esports program offers courses such as hospitality and game design that mirror real career in the esports industry. Here, students must propose innovative solutions to real-world problems using technology in order to deliver their esports events or game product. Introducing a design process such as a design thinking framework into a new esports program would be one of the supporting students' development to process that match a design mindset in this competency. Now, the opportunities for innovative design depends on the learning objectives of your esports program. However, there are design aspects involved in many parts of the esports ecosystem, including the commercial aspect, branding, marketing, merchandise, for game design, animation, characters, and ergonomics, comfortable mouse, efficient keyboards, well-designed gaming chairs, etc. ISTE standard is a computational thinker. Students develop and employ strategies for understanding and solving problems in ways that leverage the power of technological methods to develop and test solutions. Computational thinking competencies include the processing, analysis, and use of large data sets, which are also associated with tactical and strategic gameplay in esports, particularly post-game. It also be associated with the kind of problem solving that occurs through modding or creating add-ons to an existing game. In addition, some esports program involves teaching aspects of game design, such as coding, which can help develop the logic required for solving computational thinking problems. Esports gameplay and analysis provide many opportunities to encourage students in computational approaches to working with data, including abstraction, algorithm thinking, pattern recognition, and so on. Now, a simple way to get started with using esports in way is to record your students' gameplay using screen recording or Windows 10 built-in WinG, OBS, etc. Now, after the match, invite them to reflect collectively on their play, which decision led to success. It's hard to remember individual decision when you are involved in a bigger game. Now, replay the screen recording and pause it after each significant move or decision. You can use colored pens and introduce language to help students frame and categorize the kinds of decisions in play. Now, after some practice, students will be able to do this with significantly less scaffolding, and they will be able to use their gameplay analysis, this algorithm approach to build strategies for individual team member developing and team gameplay. Another standard is being a creative communicator. Students communicate clearly and express themselves creatively for a variety of purposes using the platforms, tools, styles, formats, and digital media approaches to their goals. The esports ecosystem comprised of players, teams, spectators, and a range of organizers and professionals. This ecosystem thrives on active, vibrant, and participative communities who creates a range of communication pieces, discussion forums, websites, let's play, reviews, etc. Across a range of media, text, e-publishing, video streaming, and broadcasting or podcasting, developing these collaborative, participative, and creative communication skills should be a key aim of your esports program. As with other aspects of digital literacy, there are many opportunities for an esports program to promote creative communication. A good example of this is the role of the shoutcaster, a person who provides a commentary on the gameplay for the audience. Here, students have to both customize the key messages to the esports audience and use the correct medium to do so. Students to practice shoutcasting to recorded portions of gameplay, as well as reviewing language, tone, and terminology of professional shoutcasters will be a useful exercise in developing creative communication. And last but not the least, the global collaborator. Students use digital tools to broaden their perspective and enrich their learning by collaborating with others and working effectively in teams locally and globally. Now, for esports, much of the game-based learning research points to an affinity spaces communities that are organized around passion and interest and not determined by gender, race, age, or socioeconomics. These communities provides incredible opportunities for collaboration with diverse community members and most often lead to co-creation, knowledge construction, and problem solving, discussion, forums, website, let's play, reviews, etc. All focus around in-game challenges. Now, the co-creation and production of text that occurs as a result of esports, international communities can be used as a model for similar collaboration in a school esports program. By providing support for students to learn how to build respectful, welcoming, and diverse collaborative spaces in class, and by enabling them to practice using digital tools to develop products, You can model how these spaces can and should operate outside of school. With this best practice in place, uh, can your students collaborate with other local schools to co-create together? Example products might be regional esports website or brand identity. Perhaps they collaborate to set up a local esports event, or might their collaboration be about providing mentoring via top of tips wiki, forum, or play through to help other students to learn to play? Esports in the curriculum. Ongoing research suggests that educators are under increasing pressure to include the digital literacy as part of their classroom teaching. However, teachers cite a number of obstacles from lack of confidence in using the technology and time pressure for examinations, schedules to concern relating to e-safety and technology use. Moreover, a recent study suggested that the myriad definition and terminology relates to the concept of digital literacy has made it difficult for teachers to determine exactly what and how they should be addressing this concept. Now, esports can be used as a context of embedding digital literacy teaching and learning into a school curriculum. Using frameworks such as the ISTE Digital Literacy Student Standards, which we discussed a while ago, and other can help scaffold and elucidate the learning objectives of digital literacies and digital citizenship as part of an esports curriculum, leveraging the potential of video games to tap into the interests and passions of the students, as well as providing a rich multimodal stimulus of their own text conduction. Now, that will be all for now for esports in the curriculum. For inquiries, DM us at Felta Facebook page or email us at feltamultimediainc@gmail.com. I hope you've learned something and it will encourage you to add up esports to your curriculum. Thank you for listening and have a good day.